Do what you got to do.
Yeah, I just didn't want you being like, what's he doing? Why is he fiddling with that? Hi, it's Friendship Celebration time, and I am here with Steve.
Hi.
Hi, Steve. And you are a very good game master and improviser.
Well, thank you very much.
I have only played in one of the games you've run, but it left a mark. It left a very memorable impression.
Can you show me on the doll where it...
where the game... Yeah.
No, don't go. Okay.
I will show you where the mushroom tainted me from the last...
Well, I'm very glad you enjoyed you. I enjoyed myself because everybody was involved. That's what I love. When everyone's like engrossed the whole time, that makes me happy.
Yeah. When I know you're working on another one shot, is that going to be with the same characters?
It's going to be the same characters, and it's probably going to be a 2-shot, 1-shot.
Oh, okay.
Kind of a little, because I like bigger stories, and it's hard to get bigger story in a 1-shot.
Yeah.
For D&D, this is, and. So I'm noodling around with, it'll have an ending here, but the ending will lead to more questions.
Oh, okay.
So it'll have a, and a little downtime in between.
So then the second session after that would then be following up with wrapping up that.
Yes.
Whatever you
discover.
Okay, cool.
That's my thoughts for right now.
Okay. And then...
I'll get Madeline into campaign after.
Oh, right.
She won't know. It'll be sneaky. I'll settle it in.
Right, yeah. When she's not in the middle of 8 shows.
I don't mind running every once in a while. It seems, so.
Yeah. So I know the answer to the question I'm about to ask, but I'm curious your interpretation of this question, how you're going to answer it. So, do you remember how we met?
I know. I'm waiting for this question because, of course, yes, I do. When Metro Detroit Improv, MDI, as many people have mentioned on this broadcast before, we started back up at Barefoot Theater in Livonia in the summer of 2021. We got to be live, and we were all excited about that. And Madeline and I got there early to, walk the place and set up things because they just gave us the keys and say, oh, go to town. And then we noticed this guy hanging out by the door, and Madeline got there a little bit before, and she's staying back. I know, who's that creeper over there by the door? Yeah, I don't know him. So we go up there, and this guy's all excited like a little puppy, and he's all happy and talking. How's it going? Okay, and we're happy to see him, but we're trying to get stuff set up. So we're a little unsure about you, but it didn't last long. Your enthusiasm was infectious, and we appreciate you. And now you've even run some hosting some of our MDIs, so we appreciate you and. And of course our little chat thread is creepers,
And what's weird is that it wasn't even related to that. It was somebody else was calling someone a creeper or something like Yogi or Brian or something. Okay. Yeah. So it wasn't even related to me
wasn't? Okay, well,
that it got named that.
We tell the story a lot, so.
Yeah, it was somebody else being a creeper, I think. Yeah, I had that plastic Meyer bag because I was like, all right, so if I'm going to be performing, I don't want to fall on keys or my phone or anything like that. And then additionally, I was like, okay, I don't know if there's going to be notes that I want to take and stuff because I didn't quite know what to expect. So I'm like, oh, there might be information I want to write down. So I had pens and some pieces of paper and stuff. So I had this Meyer bag, and then because I'm also a little self-conscious, I think I was wearing a coat or a jacket of some kind, which weirds people out in the summertime.
Yeah.
When I go into stores, loss prevention will start following me. So, yeah, and I'm like, the thief is going to get away. I am not your problem. But they probably saw me eyeing, Pokemon cards or something.
I forgot about the bag though too.
Oh,
so,
yeah. So it's even creepier.
It was even creepier, yeah. But so what did you think when you first? How was the first MDI for you?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. So I had initially signed up in 2020 or like late 2019 or something off of Meetup to Go. And I was waiting for an opportunity to where, because at the time I didn't have my own car or anything, because I was in a transition situation. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to have to borrow a car, going to have to, all this stuff. And so I had signed up to go. And then when I was finally able to go, there was quarantine stuff, and so everyone was doing it over Zoom, and I'm like, well, I can't do it over Zoom. I'm not in a position where I can do this online. So I had messaged Paula and Matt. Well, I messaged like the group in general, and Paula responded to me.
Yeah, she's good about that.
Yeah, which I appreciated. And she let me know that, no, it's going to be online for a while and stuff. So I'm like, oh, okay. So then once it went back in person, I followed back up with Madeline. And, yeah, she confirmed that it was good, let me know how to pay and all that stuff. And it's still $5. So if people want to go, $5 for 2 hours of improv. And it's fun and beginner friendly.
Enthusiasm there, yeah.
We always have new people. Every single week we have new people.
And some of them come back. So,
yeah. So yeah, that was my experience with getting set up, but then actually there at the first one, it was a lot of fun because we were playing a lot of like. I was thrown off a little bit during Hotspot. Like I jumped in more enthusiastically than I should have because I knew like 2 words of the song I jumped in with.
Okay.
And then I was like, I don't even know where to go with the rest of this, which I realized is commonplace. So there were a couple games that were, that I wasn't familiar with that we were playing, but I was talking to a few people like Stan. Yeah, I was sitting next to Stan and talking to him through a lot of it and stuff. And yeah, I remember the first scene game that I got to do was with you and Stan. We played Alphabet, and we won.
Okay.
We did complete the 90 seconds for Alphabet.
I'm usually fairly competent at that game.
Yeah.
Fairly.
And yeah, that's one that I've been playing a lot, like since, I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I was also familiar with it. So I then want to ask, since we're on the topic, what games do you like running? Like, I know some of them that you like playing.
Yeah.
But what ones do you particularly like to run?
Running, new choice is always fun.
Okay.
Because especially if you get, your friends in there, and then you're just unmercifully new choicing them on stuff.
New choice.
New choice. And that's fun to do. I really enjoyed the one I ran. Sometimes I run themes on my improv lists when I host, and the one where I was trying to get people familiar or happy with failure, because that's what improv's all about. Is you're going to fail, you're going to look silly, and that's the whole point and whole fun. But people can still be, especially new people, can be very self-conscious about it. So I had ridiculously hard prompts. I had, I made people do silly, weird accents that nobody ever does as a, and I really enjoyed running that one because it was tough. But everybody tried their best. Everybody jumped in. We did hot spotlights, and I said, you can't do songs that you've already done before, and people really did adhere to that.
Yeah.
So I was very impressed with everybody trying, because in general, again, we're beginner friendly, so we don't push a lot of techniques. We don't give a lot of notes unless you've offended somebody. We try, or you confuse the whole game and it's going off the rails. That's when we step in with notes. But
yeah, I did notice that with just in general, sometimes when a new game is run, or a game that isn't necessarily run there often, it's because we play the games multiple times, and so we might get like 2 or 3 times when we're playing it where it's run how you expect, and then you get like a group that's playing the game that's just like taking it like completely different than what you would expect as far as like even the rules themselves, where it's like, oh, say one word at a time, and they thought you meant one sentence at a time or something, and they like just whatever, where it's still fun to watch, but it is a learning thing where you can let them know, oh, the rule was actually this.
If it's a two-person scene and they're both on the same wrong page, I let it go.
Oh,
and then okay, well, that was great, guys, but, and we got a few people that just can't seem to get rules. But that's fine. We still all have fun, and, everybody's having a good time, so.
Yeah. So what did you do on your trip? You just got back from a multi-day trip.
Multi-day, too, yeah. I went up. My sister, I have a place up north, and I went up there, and my sister was there, and we walked the dog and sat on the deck. It was a lovely day when I got up there, and just chill. That's what I do up there, is just chill.
Okay.
All my paints are down here, so I didn't paint up there. I did a lot of reading for myself, and...
Okay. Didn't have any, like, Zoom games going on or anything like that?
I did have a Zoom game.
Okay.
My Traveler game was on that, and so that's always fun. Old school Traveler. Well, we're old school Traveler players, when it started back in the 70s and stuff like that, and we're using a Fate, because we got newer players, and it's easier,
Okay.
But we're having fun with it. So.
Does your sister play with you as well?
No, she watched a movie. So
oh, okay.
I said, I got a game I'm at, and my family, we're a pretty loose bunch, and we got there and we have meals together for the thing, and then in the afternoon, okay, I'm gonna go down to the water. Okay, see ya. We don't make sure everybody's doing anything when we get together and stuff like that.
Okay.
And that's why we like it, because my wife and I we hated the people that always wanted us to entertain them the whole time.
Oh.
You can come up here and do your stuff. That's why when you came up, and you had to work, fine,
Yeah.
You can sit wherever you want and do your work,
And then, like, last time where I didn't have to work and I just brought some video games.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm just playing my Switch. Which, that I actually wanted to ask you this as well. So tomorrow, it's going to be today for anyone watching, because this isn't going to go up until tomorrow. But, so, the question is...
The MDI First International Mario Kart Tournament.
Yeah, I need to ask you, what is your strategy going into this tournament?
Okay, well, hopefully you'll keep the rails on for me, because I hope we can have that. Well, of course, every time I get a boost, I have to scream, boost! Being obnoxious as possible while racing, bumping into people, that's always, because I'm not very good.
I think these are all fair tactics, though.
I will try the slide, turn. I think you just got to tap the brakes on that, though. Is that the thing?
If you hold it in, like if you hold in the jump button, like there's a jump/trick button thing that when you're making a turn, if you hold that in, then you'll start doing a drift. That can turn into another boost.
Okay, well, it seemed always like I'd hold it too long. That was my problem, I think.
Yeah, it might depend on like your vehicle build with the traction and things like there's probably other factors in play as well.
I got research to do tomorrow morning. So.
Except
you're going to be practicing all morning tomorrow.
I am going to be. Yeah. One thing is, because we're going to be bringing the Switch one and the Nintendo 64 one.
Yeah.
The Nintendo 64 one, I can't put like the do not fall down thing, like the guardrail one. That doesn't have that feature on that one. So if you play that one, it's definitely simpler because there are only 8 characters to pick from, and you can't pick car parts or anything. It's just like, this is the character, how they are. You don't.
I did like that, though. That's, because I noticed, acceleration's really cool. I'll just work on that, that'll be my main one. And
yeah, I mean, that's why they've included it since then, is because it is a really nice feature for people.
Well, you'll have to get, like, Paula and Yogi and I and somebody else who's bad, do our own
I don't want to
race,
call out Jamie, but I think she would want to be part of that as well.
She was doing very well on our, after a while, she was consistently beating me.
I think it depends who shows up, but I think if it's you, Yogi, Paula, and Jamie, I think that would be a fairly even match.
And well, I want to play Madeline just so I can yell and bump into her. That's fun.
Yeah, I don't know what Brian's planning tomorrow, but he said he's bringing his own controller and he wanted to know if we were going to call him out for cheating for bringing his own controller, and he seems very confident.
Only if it's mapped or something like that.
Yeah,
Can
like
you
I
do
don't.
that? I mean,
no, not with.
Should I bring my controller just to make myself look
right?
good?
Yeah.
Do they use USB ports or what? Or I don't know.
They do use USB.
I'll bring my
ports,
own.
Yeah, what's funny is that the controller that I'm bringing, Hunter's using on his PC right now. Okay. So he's playing games.
I mean, they're all kind of the same,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, they're all similar.
Well, then I'll show make it all.
You're gonna bring like a whole like racing simulator.
Get my Thrustmaster throttle. And
that way you're actually gonna throw shells at us.
Yeah.
You're just gonna have a stack of mushrooms next to you and eat them.
Get a bunch of pistachios or something like that. Just shells at people. Actually.
I think whenever you actually use a mushroom to get the boost, you have to take a bite out of a mushroom.
Oh, well then
I think that's
I'm not going to do that.
You're like, boost, no boost. That's okay.
It's good. It's fine.
So yeah, it's going to be.
Screaming boost is definitely my main tactic.
Yeah, and I do want to do one. That's your signature now.
That's my signature now.
I do.
See, I'd rather have style than win.
Because you can still win, because Mario Kart, anything can happen.
Yeah.
So you can still win while keeping your style.
Yeah. Well, not really, but how many games did we play? And I beat you once, and Jamie beat you once, and then you won all the rest.
Yeah, we played a lot, but that was all your first time.
That was my first time.
I think we played like 12 or 16, no, like 18 courses.
Yeah, Mario Kart predates my console games because I was an Atari guy,
Okay. Now, what is it that stopped appealing to you about consoles? You're stuck with PCs and.
I think I was into the bigger like role playing type games and stuff then.
Yeah.
So during college, I didn't have a computer. So that's like, the late 80s.
Okay.
So after, high school, my Atari, and then, I didn't do many video game stuff. So after college, when I had my first real job, first big purchase was a computer. Before my new apartment, which I should have got the apartment first, but I never really played my computer well, so. So then it was all PC type games.
Yeah, for me, consoles were just easier. Like, we'd play some stuff on PC, but because I was younger, a lot of the games that PC catered to, I'd look at the box art and find it so interesting. And then I was just a little too young to grasp some of the concepts and stuff. So a lot of the games that I would have played were a console version of an RPG is more user-friendly for a beginner. So that's...
I was reading PC Gamer and and that was my favorite. You'd get the game like on a Friday after work because you had to go in and buy it.
Yeah.
And then I'd go to dinner somewhere and I'd take out the manual because they actually had physical manuals on. Because you're not going to read the manual when you get home, unless it takes forever to load, which sometimes they did. And I did read the manual then, but I'd go read the manuals over dinner and stuff like that, and I'd be ready to go when I got.
So I did it was like in 2001, I bought EverQuest before I had a computer powerful enough to run it. So I would read the manual and look through all of the skills and abilities and everything going on, probably for about a month and a half before I was actually able to run. I'm like, I have it. It was like a sale or something. So I'm like, I'm going to get this and then I'm going to get a way to play it. Yeah. But yeah, so I would just read the manual that came in there and like just fawn over it, get excited.
I loved EverQuest too. That was like the first MMO that I was ever in. Seriously, anyway. There may have been a couple that weren't, they didn't really care about it.
Did you ever do Ultima Online or anything like that?
No, I did play a couple of those RPGs that were based on it.
Yeah.
But I think it was pretty much EverQuest was really the only one I did any decent amount. And it was a blast. It was flawed in many ways, but you still liked it,
Yeah.
because there's no instant healing. You go into a dungeon if you had a decent group, and you'd fight your way into a kind of a safe spot, and then I go, okay, everybody sit down, 20 minutes and rest up your mana because we can't go any
Yeah.
further until we get set up again. And that was serious, kind of very similar to old school dungeon crawling, because it was a game of resource management.
And the faction system was interesting in it, where there were times you couldn't go into if you were of different races and
In
factions
EverQuest?
and stuff. Yeah, like there were towns like if you were a quote unquote good race, you couldn't go into, say, the Dark Elf
Okay.
village.
I guess I always played the good guy, so I know.
Yeah, now one of the things though, because they didn't do it like World of Warcraft, where it's like the Horde and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But they did do it to where what could happen is you can earn faction through defeating certain opponents and stuff. So
Okay.
by the time you got to some of those villages, you may have been neutral.
Yeah.
And been allowed
Maybe
in.
I don't remember that part at all. It was a while ago.
Yeah. Yes.
But
Quite some time.
so I know I visited everything, and especially in the original, they had a couple of later kind of DLCs basically. For lack of a better chance. And EverQuest 2 just sucked. It was
That's
depressing.
what
It looked a little
seen
better, but it
looking
didn't
into
look
it.
as fun, and it wasn't as fun.
I had two friends who tried to get me. They said they would buy me the game and a computer to run EverQuest 2, and I'm like, I am not interested in EverQuest 2. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and then I got into WoW, though, World of Warcraft, which played that for a while.
Okay. Yeah, I first heard about it at EverQuest. My physics teacher in 11th grade, during lunch, he would that's how he'd spend his lunch. He'd have like 40 minutes or whatever to sit on his computer, and sometimes I'd be in there because he was a big giant nerd like the rest of us. And so he and yeah, he was also into like punk music and RPGs and all this stuff. So I would go in there and talk to him, and he'd say, "Hey, Jason, have you ever seen this game?" And he would show me.
Nice.
He was running an enchanter, and he was like, he had charmed some spiders and was showing me that he was sending them out to attack for him, and all that kind of stuff. So
I had for EverQuest, I had a ranger that did very well and a barbarian. I think those are my two biggies that I got fairly high level.
my big was my cleric.
People always want a cleric in your group. Yeah, you never see that's being an introvert. Even on the I didn't I didn't want to join a group.
Yeah.
So it was hard, and a couple of friends. Yeah, once you made them, it was nice.
Did you like the server and stuff that you were on? Did a lot of people do actual role playing, or were they more about just, hey, this is what we're doing? You're speaking as yourself. And stuff like that?
Most of them kind of played in character. I like that, doing that and stuff like that. But we didn't have huge plots or anything like that.
Okay.
And I think I tried to get in more in WoW. I did more of that stuff.
Okay.
Got more into that. And the biggest geekiest thing I did was a game called Air Warrior.
Okay.
And Warbirds it turned into later. That was a World War II flight simulation, basically. And I had, my thrust master, joystick, and with all the buttons and the throttle of all the buttons, so your hands off. And even went to a couple of conventions of those.
Okay.
And where people brought their computers and we're all in one room. And they'd have raids of organized battles, recreations of battles.
Yeah.
That was great.
That's cool that they had conventions for that.
Yeah.
Like to actually play
Well, the
with
players did it, And,
Yeah. Okay.
Houston in August. That was a great time.
Oh. So hopefully there was air conditioning.
Yeah,
at
I
the
was in the convention center.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember just that. All I did was leave the convention center or the airport to go to the convention center, and just hitting that wall of hot, humid air. Oh my God! How do people live in this? amazing.
Do you travel fairly regularly?
I wouldn't say fairly regularly, no.
Okay.
I've done Gen Con a bunch of times, back with my gaming buddies from college, and I haven't been back in a long time, but I might now. I hit the local cons now, and I usually stay there just because it's easier, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Makes
when
life easy.
when Jesse, Robin, and I were at PenguaCon, they had gotten a room and stayed there,
Yeah.
even though it was only about I think maybe a 30-minute drive for them,
Yeah.
or so. To might have been slightly longer, to where it was about a 25 to 30-minute drive for me. But to me, it was like, yeah, it would be more convenient to stay there for sure.
Yeah.
But overall, it's just like, yeah, I'll just come home
Costs
and don't
and
have
stuff
to
like
worry.
that.
Yeah.
Well, as your accountant, you will be able to write these off most of the time because you're doing game stuff or.
Oh
you know,
yeah,
with
like
people.
there I was actually
You
running
did, yeah, improv.
yeah,
session, so-
improv workshop. Yeah, so again, good to know.
Yeah.
And I will pass along your advice. Save your receipts.
Save your seats. Oh, you blew my last line of. As your accountant, I'm going to say that was going to end.
Oh, that was gonna like
As your friend, I was going to give you some, and then as your accountant, save your receipts, but he blew it, so it's going to. We're gonna,
no.
This is it. We're going to close
this
it
we're
down.
gonna have to
No,
end
yeah,
the show now.
I don't know.
Oh no. So what is something about you that I don't know that you would like me to know about you?
I occasionally get into like not cosplay, I want to say. It's not like it's more of whatever the characters in my head, like it's making Halloween costumes every once in a while.
Okay.
I've made a fake rocket pack jetpack that had little fans in it and make the little, you know, those little
Yeah.
fake torches. And they have the crepe paper, so the
Okay,
fan.
yeah.
So I put those in the bottom for
That's
the torches,
cool.
and the wings would pop up, and the thing would light.
When did you use a costume like that?
Halloween's
Okay.
or certain conventions. It depends. I got to get motivated to do it. At like one of the local science fiction cons, whose name is I'm forgetting right now, but a lot of the things that science fiction conventions go on is they do panels, which are fun and stuff at the day, and then the evening there's parties, usually in rooms.
Yeah.
Rooms parties, and we were lamenting, wow, these parties are just dull, you know, nobody's doing anything. You just go and you see the same people. There's no music. There's just some stale snacks, and we go, we should hijack the party. Yeah, we'll be like pirates for the parties. Yeah, okay. And we decide, okay, we're going to be the pirate party, and we're going to dress up as pirates, and we're going to raid everybody's parties, and we're going to steal their snacks, and then go and move on. And yeah, and then everyone just, creative juices got flowing, and we'll make a cart, and we'll make it a boat. And somebody did that, and they made this huge, you know, it was about this wide, one of these tables, and you know, made a boat and had masts and everything. And we had speakers on it, so we play our own music. And then we decided, well, a big thing at science fiction convention is tags. You know, you have your little tags if you've seen those.
Oh yeah.
You know, the ribbons they add to the your name tag. And so we had a Jolly Roger, you know, and we had some gold Jolly Rogers. You had to impress us really good. You get the silver ones. All you do is ask for one.
That's
but
cool.
You had to impress us for the. So we did that. We brought a piece of wood so you could walk the plank in amusing fashion for us. We had shots of rum. You could take a shot of rum. Not that we're condoning any underage drinking or anything. We didn't. You had to be of legal age to get it. You had to eat a lime because to scurvy, cure scurvy. You had to tell us a pirate joke that we hadn't heard. That was like nearly impossible.
Yeah, I was just gonna say what.
What other thing? We did have a cat o' nine tails that you had to let us flog. That got out of hand way fast because they're kinky a lot at the science fiction convention. So we're gonna drop that.
That ended up in somebody's bedroom.
Probably. I think we still had it, but we.
You got hired to travel to a lot of bedrooms.
So we did that. We raided people's. After a while, we were so popular we couldn't really raid any because people would follow us. So we kind of parked in a certain section on a floor floor for a while and played our music, and we were all dressed up as pirates and stuff like that. And so I put that costume together for myself. And one of the things I did for our next year, we were the guests of honor at the convention because everybody loved it.
Oh, wow.
So we got in free, and everything like that. And we had a little, they talked to us. And to celebrate that, I made a confetti blunderbuss. Big open.
Yeah.
And we had Harris shoot it off because she was the shortest, because it was like about 6 feet tall. And basically,
It's like
I made it pressurized gas. So you could pump it up with a bicycle pump, and PVC tubing about an inch, perfect for a ping pong ball, which also worked very well. But we put confetti in it for this one, and a tube that long, and we had it. So I love making that kind of stuff. I can do PVC, and 2x4s are my medium. Okay. So I'm very good at building anything with those. I am pressure rated, so I can do that stuff. So you didn't know that, did you?
No.
Well, there you go.
And that the handiness came into play with that last D&D session that you ran, where you were adding like battery powered crystals and all this stuff that you
I'm having fun, like upgrading the little set pieces for D&D with lights and stuff. There's a website out there that has all these little kits to make it even easier for adding lights to like train miniatures and stuff like that. But it's fun. It adds a little something, I think, to the boss fight at the end. If the thing you got to destroy is glowing purple evilly, and
right, yeah, that was really cool.
Figured it out to kill that thing really quick, which you did.
One thing that I had seen, it was a couple years ago, I watched a few videos from someone who they take trash, like just things you would normally throw away, whether it's like wrappers off of food that you've eaten or whatever, and they would make set pieces for Warhammer out of trash.
Sure.
Like with paint and glue and stuff, and like the way you do it, you can actually make it look like
Warhammer, it's usually ruins anyway. So I worked in Scott Specialty Gases back in my Warhammer days, and we'd have lots of little industrial pieces of stuff and broken pieces of metal and stuff, which I stole a lot for basing. They are discarded. So I was cleaning up. I was helping.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've done that a little bit, but it can get out of hand. You don't want to collect. Ooh, this is a cool thing.
Oh yeah, and then
you realize this is I'm not using it, and it's getting out of hand. Yeah. So.
Okay.
You gotta temperance with that sort of thing.
Yeah, Hunter is kind of a trash collector. He will go on a walk and then come home with half of a chandelier piece that he thought was really cool that he just saw on the road. Or sometimes he'll see a bottle, like a really thick bottle, that he's like, this is a cool shape of this bottle. And he'll just come home with a bottle and wash it up and everything. He's like, yeah, I have a bottle now.
I do myself. I curb those impulses nowadays.
Yeah, so let's pop in with random stuff here and there.
Styrofoam works great. I got a little hot wire styrofoam cutter.
We had one of those in our art class in elementary school, and that
fun.
Was the treat. Like that was if you're really good, you can use the styrofoam cutter.
Yeah,
like was our
those
reward.
are fun. I like to make terrain a lot. I did some cool lakes later on when I was still playing Warhammer. Some lakes, because my dad, who did railroad modeling, he said, oh yeah, just some many layers of floor wax, the old kind of floor wax. You just pour a little, get a layer, let it a couple days, let that one, and then just keep adding on. And you can add colors, and maybe between layers you put a little light transparent paint in there to give it like depth and stuff like that. And you paint the bottom so it gives it like it gets deeper in the middle and stuff like that. Hey, those came out really well.
Yeah, that's very cool. And I forget, you might have told me this at some point, but I forget at the moment. How did you get into gaming, like tabletop gaming?
D&D back in, I was in 5th grade, 6th grade. So that was 1975-ish, 4-ish, 5-ish. So my sister had been into like fantasy books and stuff like that. So I was around and we seen, I think there's a Ralph Bakshi, The Hobbit. We saw that. We were both excited to see that. And, so I was interested in that genre. I wasn't a reader at the time though. And Detroit Free Press had this Sunday magazine called The Parade in it, and they had, colored pictures and stuff like that. And they were trying to explain D&D, and that captured my imagination.
Okay.
It looked like, it had people dressed up silly, and I don't recall really explaining it well, but whatever, it really captured my imagination. My sister and I went in halvesies on the D&D box set, and I tried as a nerdy, 11th grader, or how old are you, 11 and 5th grade, something like that.
Yeah,
5th grade.
Yeah.
I tried I didn't know what I was doing. I read through the little module that came with it, and I was fascinated by it. It was like so magical. It just blew my mind. But tried to run them, and I didn't know what I was doing. My sister and her friend who came over to talk to her because he had just broken up with his girlfriend or something like that. I'm oblivious to this thing. So luckily it worked out where it fizzled as a game. And I go, okay, well, I'm going to work on this. And they could talk,
Oh.
but, which they probably need to do. But I remember that was like the first into it. And then I was just obsessed with it, trying to get into games. I played it once in high school during, lunch, because somebody had a game going, and you didn't get experience if you didn't attack. If you didn't hit a monster, you're not getting any experience. So here we are, a couple of us were new, and we were like first level characters, and these guys were like 9th level characters, and we were going through this cavern, and a dinosaur appeared. I remember a dinosaur was there, and I was so happy I actually hit it as my little first level fighter. But that was the only time I played then. And then in theater, it was I was becoming more of a theater geek as I went, but I really wasn't one yet. I was in the spring musical because I could sing. I've been in the choir all my life, and so I was starting to get more in theater. And as an English credit, you could take set design, which was, because it was related to the theater, you got an English credit in high school.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, but really, what you did was, there's a couple instruction where you learned some theory on set design and stuff, which is cool. But most of it was building the spring musical set. Free labor, dedicated time to do that.
Yeah.
So there were theater kids in that group, literally sitting on the left, and then there were the burnout kids sitting on the right because it was an free English credit. I sat directly in the middle. I was nowhere near a burnout, but I definitely wasn't a theater kid in the theater group yet, because we all knew each other and stuff like that. But then I gradually moved to the left and became a theater kid at that. And that's where I met Harris,
Oh, okay.
who became my wife 10 years later. And she invited me to her graduation party. This was '82. And her...
Sierra was born, by the way.
Yeah. And so I was 17 at that time. And her boyfriend at the time was running a D&D game, because we were just like not a generation, but the age group under all the kids who were playing D&D in high school at that point.
Okay.
And they wouldn't let her play. And they wouldn't let him play because he was the younger brother of one of the older kids.
Oh, okay.
So it goes, we're going to run our own group. And we did, and we played that summer, and then we recruited the people that were older that were still and then we became the de facto group around.
That's awesome.
And we were gaming. I still game with that group today. They're the Traveler groups.
Oh, that's the group. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. So since we are wrapping up, even though there's so much more to talk about,
Yes.
I know that you've already said this, but I'm curious, maybe you'll change it. So I would like you to finish with the sentence, Jason, as your friend, and fill in the blank for me.
Jason, as your friend, I am very impressed with your creative ability and your projects, getting them done. And I'm thankful you're letting me be in some of these, because this is very fun. Because I have motivation to do some stuff, but I don't have big motivations. So I like the people who are enthused, and I like to glam on to them and jump in their projects. So thank you.
Thank you so much for jumping in my projects. That is very much appreciated. All these different things that I'm happy to have you involved in, because we have very similar interests and outlook on certain things and stuff that makes it easy to work with you on all of this. And your input and participation is very valuable, and it's fun. Like, it just makes it a fun time. So I'm glad I asked that, because I was just like, oh, you already answered that.
Yeah,
and
well,
then,
no, you got the other one, the account. And then I was going to say, and as your accountant, keep your receipts. So, yeah, but...
Okay, got it.
So that was the tag, but you screwed that up.
As I do.
You didn't get my script notes, did you? Because this is all scripted, of course.
It is. I tried memorizing them, but then the pages must
Did you
have
see
stuck
how
together.
well I memorized? I mumbled up a couple letter words here and there, but I had it, perfect.
Your 20-minute monologue was spot on.
Did you like how I ran out of breath on the one and I just couldn't quite get that last word out?